Hello, everyone, and welcome to a webinar hosted by Organic Seed Alliance here today. We're calling it Activating Organic Seed Alliance Resources, a user guide and community workshop. My name is Michael Lorden. I'm the Assistant Director of Regional Programs here with Organic Seed Alliance. I'm based in the Midwest in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm going to be taking you through a pretty fast-paced tour of what OSA has to offer to try to help you as a farmer or as a grower, leverage our resources to make your life easier and really use the power of organic seeds to its full potential. So we're going to take today's webinar in kind of two parts. The first is going to be what I'm calling kind of a user's guide. It's going to be a run through of the history of Organic Seed Alliance and the resources that we have available. And then with the folks who are here live here today, we're going to spend the second half of the workshop of the time here that we have kind of workshopping these resources. We're going to ask a few questions like, why are we activating these resources? What does that mean? And what resources are available from Organic Seed Alliance? And then in our group here today, and what I encourage us to do as a follow-up from today's webinar, if you're watching this later, is how can you or your community benefit from Organic Seed Alliance resources, and let us know where are more resources needed. We are continuing this effort as an ongoing project to continue to create more resources for you, and so we want to know from you as the users here what resources are going to be more needed from you from your end. So, Organic Seed Alliance is a nonprofit organization that has been around and active for more than 20 years. And some of the folks that you see on the screen here today represent some of what you could call the kind of the heart of the organization. These are the people who have dedicated time, um, and effort and put in so much care to develop resources with the single mission that Organic Seed Alliance has, which is to increase the abundance and the diversity of organic seed that's available, and to train a generation of seed stewards that will be able to tend these organic seeds in perpetuity. And so the resources that I'm going to be sharing here today have been created by countless individuals, from our staff to our partners to our community members to conference attendees. And I just really want you to keep in mind here as we're talking that these resources that have been created are the work of real people who've put in a lot of time, care, and effort into creating these resources. And I feel like sometimes the great work that has been done years ago sometimes gets lost on a shelf, or it doesn't stay actively used. And in our society, we often think about what's new or what's the most recent thing. And I want to spend a little bit of time here today reflecting on the history of Organic Seed Alliance and a lot of the great resources that um, my colleagues here that you see on screen have put together over the years. So when we think about organic seed, we should really think about what the rules and regulations are around using organic seed. And so what the National Organic Program says here in the U.S. is that the USDA requires that all organic producers use organic seeds or seedlings or planting stock if they're not using seeds. And you can do a quick Google search for NOP 5029 to pull up the whole seed rules and all of the legal language. I'm not going to get too in depth there, but it sounds very simple, right? If you're an organic producer, it requires that you use organic seed, but it's not quite that simple. And in our research at Organic Seed Alliance, when we survey organic seed producers and growers, we came up with these data. And so what this chart shows is how much of a producer's acreage is planted to organic seed. And so on the y-axis here is what percentage of that land is planted with organic seed. And along the x-axis here is how big is the farm? Is it less than 3 acres? Is it 3 to 10, 10 to 50, 80, 160, 480 acres or more? And what this chart shows is that as operations grow bigger, they tend to plant less acreage in organic seed. And you might ask yourself, wait, I thought that the rules required that organic seed producers are required to use organic seed. Why are these not all 100%? And we can even look, we've been asking this question for 10 years now. And what we find is that we haven't seen in some of these larger farm acreage, we are not seeing significant improvement. In fact, some of these have even gone down over time. And even at the smallest acres, these are the small farms, less than 3 acres, they're doing a better job. They're using 70, 80% of their acreage is planted to organic seed, but it's still not 100. And so you might ask yourself, what's going on here? Why are these organic farms not using organic seed? And that's because when you search NOP 5029 and you look up the rules, you find that there is an exemption. So the regulations actually will allow producers to utilize non-organic seed or planting stock when an equivalent organic variety is not commercially available. So that's a pretty large exemption, and you can see that at these larger scales, these organic producers that are growing 500 plus acres, they're using that exemption for sometimes 3/4 of their acreage. And so that's an issue that Organic Seed Alliance has really identified as a major issue that affects the whole organic food system. We really believe that organic seed is a foundation of the organic food system. And if producers that are growing hundreds of acres of organic crops are not using organic seed, we have to ask what's going on and why not. And so commonly we hear a lot of challenges when it comes to sourcing organic seed, especially at those bigger acreages. We often hear challenges around the quantity of organic seed that's available. An organic producer may require hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of seed to meet their operations needs, and that quantity of seed may not be available as a certified organic product. And so they're able to use the exemption based on quantity concerns. Quality is another issue that might qualify a farmer for an exemption. That might be something like germination rate, or the presence or absence of contaminants or weed seeds in your seed lot. It may also be qualities of that variety itself. Could be disease resistance or drought tolerance. Um, those are also challenges that farmers face that they can apply for an exemption to use non-organic untreated seed. Form is one that gets used sometimes. That's like if your seed is in a pelleted form or non-pelleted form, that can be something that a farmer can claim as an exemption. And while a farmer can't explicitly say that the organic seed was just too expensive, that's not a justifiable exemption. There are some economic factors that come into play. Like if you are an organic producer growing seed on contract, or you're growing your organic produce on contract for, say, a processor like a soup company or something, they might require you grow a specific variety for their product, and that variety may not be available organically. And so these are all common challenges or sourcing challenges that are brought up that organic farmers will cite when they are sourcing their seeds. And if commercially uh, if a variety is not available commercially based on any of these first three factors, they can use non-organic seed. And so at Organic Seed Alliance, we have taken a long-term approach to try to reduce that discrepancy, or that difference between how much organic acreage we have in the country versus how much of that acreage is planted with organic seed. We'd really love it to be 100% of organic acreage planted with organic seed. And so how we do this is through our programs. Research on ways to increase the efficiency or the quality of organic seed production, research into improved varieties for organic growing conditions. We spend a lot of time doing educational work, training seed producers, training organic producers in issues around organic seed. And we also advocate for policies at the federal level that would support organic seed producers and may even tighten up some of those exemptions that we see with the National Organic Program to encourage more organic seed usage, which in turn increases the demand for organic seed. And when we see an increase in demand, the seed companies will respond by increasing their supply of organic seed. So it's sort of a cycle where if these large producers or if organic producers in general are not demanding organic seed because they are able to use exemptions through the National Organic Program, we're not going to see the supply keep up because seed companies are not going to produce an abundant supply of something that doesn't have demand. And so these supply and demand and policies are all linked together. Um, and Organic Seed Alliance for, over 2 decades now has been committed to these program areas with this vision that seed grows an equitable, abundant, and resilient future of food. And so uh, that that vision, that mission to increase the abundance and diversity of organic seed has been a common through thread motivating factor for all of those folks that you saw on that slide a few slides ago. And really, we're at OSA, we're here to help. We have conversations with hundreds or thousands of farmers every year about challenges that they face with organic seed, whether they're an organic seed producer trying to produce high quality vegetable seed that's regionally adapted, or they are an organic vegetable grower and they are using organic seed and they have questions about sourcing, or we're really just here to help. And the next portion of the presentation is going to be kind of a fast-paced run through of some of the resources that Organic Seed Alliance has developed over our history that is available to you as farmers or as growers. And I'm going to talk about kind of three categories of resources. The first is going to be written publications. That's kind of been one of the long-term kind of efforts that Organic Seed Alliance has done is to produce high quality, well-researched, and accessible documents, publications, guides, things like that that a farmer can download and print and share freely with their community and with others. And more so over the last few years, we've been getting more into multimedia presentations. So we've done webinars for a long time, but increasingly we are live streaming webinars. We are having virtual conferences, virtual events, community building meetings that we are leveraging our technology and digital tools to reach a bigger audience. And finally, Organic Seed Alliance has a long history of convening organic seed community through conferences and events, providing in-person trainings on the farm or in the warehouse, processing and seed cleaning. And so I'm going to kind of focus my presentation on these three categories: written publications, multimedia resources, and our convenings and trainings. The first category I'm going to talk about is our publications. So Organic Seed Alliance has produced over its history many how-to guides, practical printed resources, everything from seed saving guides for gardeners and farmers that provides like a fundamental background of how to save seed and what factors to consider, to on-farm organic plant breeding guides that go more in depth into concepts around selection and reproduction and how new varieties come to be or how varieties are maintained over time. We also have a lot of specific resources like how to breed carrots for organic agriculture or a tomato seed production guide that may be crop specific. We have resources for some specific places like the Pacific Northwest or the Midwest or Montana or the Southeast, where regional considerations have a big factor in how that impact a grower's ability to produce high quality seeds. We also have more general resources like how to manage pollinators in an organic seed system and which crops are more likely to be pollinated by insects or how you manage those pollinators like birds and other invertebrates. And we also have guides on reducing your risk from weather or climate and how to reduce risk so that you will be able to produce the highest quality seed that you can. These how-to guides are amazing resources. I think that they're kind of perennial, evergreen resources that still maintain their relevance for many years after they've been produced. And in the last few years, several of our more popular guides we've actually had translated into Spanish. And I know some of these resources have been around long enough that they've traveled the world and they've been translated into other languages as well. And they've been cited countless times. So these are one of the greatest resources, in my opinion, that Organic Seed Alliance has produced. And they're all freely available on the Organic Seed Alliance website. Another project that has been going on now for over a decade is called the State of Organic Seed Report. And it is really one of a kind in that it is a report that assesses how organic seed is being utilized across around our country in the United States. And it is based off of a series of surveys and interviews that we at Organic Seed Alliance and our partners perform about every 5 years, and it asks questions that led to that chart that I showed you earlier. That's one example where we ask what percentage of your acreage is planted in organic seed. Um, we ask where seeds are being sourced. Do you save your own seed? Do you produce seed for sale? And this data is incredibly valuable for the whole organic industry as a whole, and especially for policymakers as they try to understand the organic industry and how either resilient or vulnerable it is to shocks in the system. The COVID pandemic was a major shock in the organic seed system, and so you can read in the 2022 State of Organic Seed Report like how that shock of a pandemic impacted the seed industry, and it also provides great long-term data that we can refer back to assess whether we are making progress as a whole, as an industry, with that organic seed usage. And we'd really like to see that number increasingly climb, where more organic seed is used every time we do these surveys. And disappointingly, we haven't always found that to be the case. And so, as much as we work at Organic Seed Alliance to support the organic community, we do recognize that there are some policies that may need to be changed in order to break this cycle and to increase the demand for organic seed, therefore increasing the supply as a response to that. So, great place. If you're looking for data on how organic seed is used around the organic industry, check out these State of Organic Seed reports. Another kind of written publication that is worth pointing out here is that our 2023 policy platform for seed. We also have some policy roadmaps or issue briefs on specific policy issues like GMO contamination. But this policy platform for seed was produced just a few years ago in the lead up to the what was supposed to be the 2023 Farm Bill reauthorization. And this is a really great place to get a grounding of what issues are facing organic seed producers and how economic factors are very, very critical for how the organic seed industry has developed. There's a lot of information in here around corporate control over seed and the consolidation of that corporate control over time. You'll find information about intellectual property, things like patents or copyrights or protection on seed, and our view at OSA on how those policies could be reformed. And we do this work through campaigns where we do a lot of listening and conversations with stakeholders, and we work also with coalition partners around the country who do policy advocacy work. Another big kind of grouping of publications that OSA has produced over the years are variety trial reports. We don't do quite as many of these as we did maybe 10 years ago, but there's a great record on our website of the results of all these variety trials. Um, to understand how these different varieties of crops grow in organic conditions. Some of the varieties that were tested in these trials are classic kind of conventional varieties, and others are varieties that were bred on small farms or in specific regional conditions. And so these are great resources to understand how different varieties perform under organic conditions in different places. But it also gives you tools and inspiration if you wanted to perform your own variety trials and understand what varieties might produce well for your local food system or for your seed production system. And so if you're interested in those, you could check out those reports on our website as well. And Organic Seed Alliance over the years has developed a lot of different toolkits and data sheets that are free and available for anybody who wants to download and use them. So if you are interested in plant breeding through collaborative approaches, we have a whole toolkit that was developed there that gives you a step-by-step approach. It gives you resources that are easy to customize for your project. Another toolkit is the Seed Economics Toolkit. This has been a really helpful one for a lot of farms as they're trying to understand whether their seed production is a profitable enterprise in their farm, or just to understand the cost benefit analysis of should I grow my own seed? Should I buy my own seed? Is it worth is it worth my time to sell this seed through retail sales, like in small seed packets, or should I sell this wholesale to a seed company? The Seed Economics Toolkit, including this spreadsheet tool that was developed, is a really great example of a toolkit that Organic Seed Alliance has developed that allows really anyone from a gardener up to a large scale farmer to type in information about their farm and about their production, and it will model whether you are breaking even, whether you're making a profit, or whether this enterprise is actually costing you money. So the Seed Economics Toolkit is a really good one if you are concerned about making seed production part of your farm business or your livelihood. In addition to all those resources, you can find conference proceedings. So I'll talk a little bit more about the conference later, but uh, every time Organic Seed Alliance hosts our conferences, our major organic seed growers conference, we always ask the presenters to submit a written paper to go along with their presentation. And these proceedings of the conference live on as a static resource that's on our website that you can go back, and if you weren't at these conferences in 2006 or 2012 or 2022, you can go back to these proceedings and really get a pretty good understanding of some of the subjects that were talked about. And some of the authors do a really in-depth job of sharing what they shared at the conference through these written papers. So I've gone back into these proceedings and found really amazing papers in there that really help to understand where we've been and where we're coming from, and then where we're going as well into the future. So if you've never been to an organic seed growers conference and you want to understand a little bit more about what's talked about there or what the subjects are, you can look at some of these proceedings as a written reference. And then I'd be remiss to not mention books. There's a lot of great books out there now. A couple of these books were written or edited or contributed to by Organic Seed Alliance staff. And so I highly recommend both of these books. If you're an organic seed farmer that's wanting to maybe do this on a commercial level, The Organic Seed Grower by John Navazio is often recommended for that purpose. And if you're saving seeds at home or on a small scale, or if you're just getting started, the Seed Garden is also a great resource with an index of crops, commonly grown seed crops, and gives you kind of a good background and step-by-step approach for how to do it. So both of these books are highly recommended. There's more as well that maybe we could talk about later, or if there's some gaps to be filled. But both of these books are really great resources if you're just getting into this. So the next section I'm going to talk about is multimedia resources and recordings and videos and audio recordings. The first I want to talk about is our virtual education courses. So for about five years or so now, Organic Seed Alliance has been offering every year the Organic Seed Production course, which offers a fundamental training in the biological, the technical, the economic, and the sociocultural underpinnings of organic seed production. And we do it in two different ways. One is through kind of a synchronized cohort-based approach where we have, approximately 20 or 30 students from all over the country who are learning together. They're meeting with each other, several times a month online to discuss the material and have guest speakers come in to answer their questions. In addition, we have kind of an asynchronous version of that course as well. It's free. It's self-paced. It is, yeah, available for anyone who wants to take that organic seed production class, but maybe isn't able to attend the live meetings or can't commit to the full season, or they just want to do it in a weekend and watch this content and start applying it as soon as they can. So we have both of those available if you're interested in the asynchronous self-paced version of the course. It's hosted on Organic Seed Commons, which is a online social network and educational platform that Organic Seed Alliance offers. I'll talk more about Organic Seed Commons in a little bit, but this organic seed production course has really been an incredible resource and incredible outcomes have come from this. I was involved in the very first course and have been involved in some capacity ever since then. And it's truly incredible to see my own peers who were students in the course with me or have been students in subsequent classes. And now I see them at the conference and they're behind a seed swap table and they have tons of seeds that they've grown and they're leading workshops in their communities and they're really spreading the impact from Organic Seed Lines out into their own communities. And so that's been really, really awesome to see happen just in the last half decade. We have a long history of webinars that's available on YouTube. Many of the Organic Seed Alliance webinars have been hosted, and you can find them on the eOrganic YouTube channel. eOrganic is essentially an extension service based in the Oregon State University that provides digital resources all about organic farming and research. And so you can find the eOrganic YouTube channel and find recordings from organic seed growers conferences, or a couple years ago, we put on a series of webinars all about on-farm plant breeding. And so if you are the kind of person that would prefer to watch information as a, video presentation, which I assume maybe you are if you're watching me talk right now, these webinars are really a great way to get an alternative to the written publications that we produce. So many Organic Seed Alliance projects generate a written publication and a webinar or a conference presentation. So whatever your learning style is, you can probably find that information in one or two different formats. Podcast is another way that Organic Seed Alliance educates people and gets the word out about our research. I was just on a podcast, the Growing for Market podcast, a few months ago, talking about how farmers can breed varieties. Um, we've been Organic Seed Alliance has been featured on the Seed Farmer podcast, and really this I don't have a full record, but we've been Organic Seed Alliance has been on countless podcasts over the years, and so if you're interested in that kind of learning, that you can definitely seek us out and find many different Organic Seed Alliance staff over the years being interviewed on different podcasts. And similarly, I mentioned in our advocacy work that we often base our policy recommendations and advocacy uh, very closely off of the input of stakeholders. And so one way that we collect information is through listening sessions. So over the last few years, Organic Seed Alliance has hosted several listening sessions on topics such as GMO contamination, farm bill policies, breeding methods or excluded methods in organic seed production. And these are a really great way for producers to get involved in advocacy work without having to travel to Washington, D.C., or really even frankly leave your farm. You can participate in these listening sessions and share your opinions and your perspectives with Organic Seed Alliance. And we will formulate those, synthesize them, and take them on your behalf to lawmakers or policymakers and share really what the community is facing and get your voices to be heard on Capitol Hill. And so the last kind of group of resources that I'm going to talk about here is our trainings or our convenings. The first I have to mention is the Organic Seed Growers Conference. It's kind of our flagship event that we host every 2 years. We've hosted 12 of them now. Uh, they are, I believe, the largest gathering in North America focused solely on organic seed. And they're truly an incredible event. I talked to so many people who've been inspired by these conferences, who've made connections at these conferences that have changed their the trajectory of their farming career or their life in some cases. And I was blown away by how like open and friendly the organic seed community is, especially at these conferences, with how willing they are to share information. It's truly a sense of like collaboration more than competition at these conferences, even though, you have several of the, larger organic seed companies who are there, as well as countless small regional family-owned seed businesses, independent plant breeders who are there. There's really a great sense of collaboration and support, mutual support for each other. So if you've never been to a organic seed growers conference, I'd encourage you to see if it's possible for you in the future. But we've also recognized that, those events happen every 2 years, and sometimes we need gatherings in the meantime, and we need to, sometimes meet farmers where they are. And so, out of the Seed Growers Conference has spun out these seed summits, which are smaller, more regionally specific gatherings of seed leaders and seed community members who want to come together for, sometimes it's one day, sometimes it's a weekend, and really discuss issues, share tips, and share information, identify future priorities for projects. And so we've held them in the Midwest and in California, in the Pacific Northwest, and the Southeast. And these have been really great learning experiences for OSA to learn what our community needs. And it's been great opportunities for the community members as well to come and meet new people and learn something new about seeds. Organic Seed Alliance is well known for our field days and workshops that we host. These are some of the recent ones that have happened this year, where we invite participants to come to a working seed farm to see how seeds are produced, how they're harvested or cleaned, or stored or sold or packaged, all different kinds of things that somebody might learn on site. And then sometimes in the winter or off season, the field isn't really ready or there's not seed crops in the field. We might do workshops inside, in a classroom or a barn or a warehouse where we teach topics like seed saving, or seed cleaning is another popular topic that we get invited to speak about a lot. And so these are a great way to interact with Organic Seed Alliance in person. If you're not somebody who likes to read or just watch videos, coming out to a field day, and getting some hands-on, multi-sensory experience is really a great way to interact with Organic Seed Alliance. Similarly, we participate in things like farm tours or festivals or tastings or showcases, things that are more celebratory, or more highlighting just some of the amazing things about organic seeds or about specific organic crops like buckwheat or radicchio or flowers, cut flowers. So in addition to providing some more of that technical information or training, we also like to, have a good time and celebrate and cherish some of the good things that we have, especially in that peak of the field season around August or September. We love to go out and see everything blooming. And our work at Organic Seed Alliance, well, we have like gifted staff who are passionate and dedicated. We don't do this alone. None of this work is done really alone. We do almost all of our projects through coalitions or partnerships. I couldn't fit all of our partners or coalitions here on this slide. This is just kind of a snapshot of some of the more recent projects that we've been associated with, but our policy work is done through coalitions like the National Sustainable Agriculture Coalition or the National Organic Coalition, which represent dozens or hundreds of different organizations around the country who collectively come together, set priorities, and communicate with our lawmakers and policymakers. This is what the sustainable agriculture community needs, or this is what the organic farming community needs. And here are specific policies that could be passed to support these needs. In addition, we do a lot of work funded through the USDA, through the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. In particular, there's a grant program called the Organic Research and Extension Initiative, or OREI, that has funded several large multi-year research and education projects, the carrot improvement for organic agriculture, or the tomato organic management and improvement project, Northern Organic Vegetable Improvement Collaborative. These are all projects with stakeholders and university partners and community organizations and farmers all over the country who are working together to breed new varieties of crops like carrots and tomatoes and many others to perform well under organic conditions. And I put up here Seed Linked and Seed Savers Exchange as partners who are helping us to conduct variety trials through some of these projects where we're growing many different varieties of seed at many different locations, and the analysis of that data starts to become tricky and complicated. And so we work with a company like SeedLinked to provide software or technical skills to help analyze some of that data. And we work primarily at the United States, but in some capacity as well, we work at the international level with organizations like iFoam to promote the use and development of organic seed all over the world. One effort that Organic Seed Alliance started a few years ago, which is still up on our website, is a directory of organic seed producers. And so you see just a few people here who have put themselves on the map as an organic seed producer who may be interested in selling seed to you or your seed company, or they may have opportunities for you if you are a beginner or a student to come visit their farm and volunteer or do an internship or an employeeship to learn those practical skills of organic seed production. So this directory that's on the Organic Seed Alliance website is one resource to find a mentor or a partner or a collaborator or just maybe a friend. And I mentioned our mentorship program. Along with the organic seed production course, Organic Seed Alliance has offered a mentorship program where we match experienced organic seed producers with beginners. And it's been funded, our efforts have been funded through two USDA programs, the Beginner Farmer and Rancher Development Program and the Transition to Organic Partnership Program, who's also supporting this presentation here today. Both of those programs have realized how important it is for a beginner to have an experienced mentor that they could call on in times of struggle or in times of need, when they have unanswered questions or when they just need some encouragement. Having a mentor who knows your area, who knows what it's like to be a beginner and to be producing these seeds. They're facing the same climate challenges that you are. That's It's been so beneficial for a lot of the students in our seed production course. And so we continue to offer that mentorship program now as well. And then earlier I mentioned the Organic Seed Commons. It is a social network, an educational platform. It's based on the Mighty Networks software platform. But we have at Organic Seed Alliance used this network to host virtual conferences like the 2022 Organic Seed Growers Conference, which was fully virtual, to hybrid conferences like the last conference we did in 2025 that had live streamed and virtual components to it. We've had uh, different kind of synergy groups or topic-based groups who have used the space, even some outside organizations who have contracted with us to host educational courses using some of our content and have their own virtual learning space there. So it's a great platform if you want to engage with other organic seed advocates or enthusiasts or producers. You could introduce yourself, make a post or a profile to highlight what you're doing and get involved in some of those conversations or view some of the educational resources that are still living there. And then I think this is my last slide. I just wanted to point out just how big and broad it means when we say something like participatory research, education, and advocacy. So almost everything, like I've said already, almost everything we do at Organic Seed Alliance is done in partnership, is done in community, is done with other participants who are informing us, who are helping us, who are sharing their opinion to shape these resources that we develop. And so, participatory research could look like breeding new crops together or experimenting with new methods, bringing in speakers from different parts of the world to share about issues that they face. Advocacy can be bringing together, you know, farmers with academics, with nonprofits, all together to lift a common voice and amplify our messaging when we're talking with policymakers and lawmakers about what we need in order to support a healthy and resilient organic seed system. So that was kind of a lot, I'm sure, to be presented with all at once. I just try to put it all on a slide here to just capture some of the breadth of what we have available here. I wasn't able to put everything on these slides. Like there is a lot more here that I wasn't able to go in depth on that maybe we could talk about later in our discussion, or if you have questions later, you can always reach out to us. But that sort of brings us to the end of the presentation, and I wanted to get back to these challenges that motivated this presentation and motivates a lot of our work at OSA. So in terms of quantity, we are training organic seed producers to scale up, to produce larger quantities of seed, to understand how to use different pieces of equipment or infrastructure or collaborative approaches to increase the amount of organic seed that we're able to produce. And we think that, in doing that, we'll be able to better serve the needs of some of those large scale producers by having greater quantities of seed available. We're also training seed producers on how to produce high quality seeds and to produce high quality seeds in different regions so that we're not concentrating all of our seed production into one geographic region, which leaves us very vulnerable to environmental uncertainty or, rough weather. If all of our seeds are in one region and there's a major weather event that really puts our seed system becomes a little more fragile. So we really want to spread out our seed production into different regions. But with that comes challenges around producing high quality seed. So our approach is to train organic seed producers in different regions and train them with regionally specific information so that they can produce high quality seed, even in the face of some of their regionally specific challenges. And then with forum and economics, we've been working on these kind of more indirectly with our toolkits and with our listening sessions to kind of understand what farmers' needs are so we can better support those supply challenges and really trying to support the livelihoods of organic seed producers and make them feel supported so that they are not taking too much risk because all too often so much of the risk is put onto the organic seed producer. And if they have a crop failure, it's can be really rough for them. So We are committed to supporting an organic seed producer and reducing their risk when they're making this commitment. So that's going to wrap up this recording for today. I wanted to thank you again for listening and being here today. If you have any questions and wanted to reach out to me directly, my email is here, michael@seedalliance.org. I also wanted to thank the Transition to Organic Partnership Program through the USDA for funding this presentation in particular to help support organic farmers in their transition to organic or in maintaining their organic certification. And this will be, we'll have a couple more sessions this year focused on the Midwest and the Transition to Organic Partnership Program. So I hope that you'll keep following Organic Seed Alliance and what we do, and that following this presentation today, you'll be able to go onto the Organic Seed Alliance website and explore our resource library and have a little bit better idea of some concrete things that might help you on your farm face challenges that you experience. So thank you again.